Everybody all set? All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Bill Schuette, and I have the privilege of serving as Michigan's Attorney General. Thank you for coming. Mayor Weaver, I'm so pleased you're here, and I admire greatly your leadership here in the city of Flint. On January 15th of this year, I initiated an independent investigation to determine what laws may have been broken in the Flint water crisis. My job as Attorney General is to enforce the law, and that is what I do. I've said this before, and it bears repeating, that so many things went so terribly wrong and tragically wrong in Flint. Today, we are announcing we filed criminal charges in the Flint water crisis against 3 individuals. We have filed charges against Stephen Busch, an employee of the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, and Michael Prysby, also an employee of the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. We have charged each individual with 3 felonies, 3 separate felonies. First, we've charged Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby with misconduct in office, a felony. Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby misled federal and local authorities, regulatory officials, and failed to provide safe and clean water to families of Flint. When we prove these allegations, and we will, Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby will be facing 5 years in prison for this count alone. We have also charged Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby with intentionally tampering with evidence of lead levels on certain water samples in homes of residents of Flint. We allege and we will prove that Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby altered test results, which endangered the health of citizens and families of Flint. This is a 4-year felony. We have further charged Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby with conspiracy to tamper with evidence in their joint agreement to conceal test results on Flint water samples. This also is a 4-year felony. We have charged Mr. Prysby with an additional felony of misconduct in office by authorizing an operating permit for the Flint water treatment plant, knowing that the plant would fail to provide clean and safe drinking water to families of Flint. This, too, is a 4-year felony. We've charged both Mr. Busch and Mr. Prysby with 2 misdemeanors for violating Michigan's Safe Drinking Water Act by failing to require anti-corrosive be added to the Flint water system, and by manipulating water samples by directing Flint citizens to pre-flush their taps. These employees of the Department of Environmental Quality had a duty. They had a duty to protect the health of families and citizens of Flint. They failed to discharge their duties. They failed in their responsibilities to protect the health and safety of families of Flint. They failed Michigan families. Indeed, they failed us all, and I don't care where you live. Mr. Michael Glasgow is an employee of the city of Flint, working at the water treatment plant. We have charged Mr. Glasgow with felony tampering with evidence by altering and falsifying reports to the DEQ and the EPA. We have also charged Mr. Glasgow with willful neglect of duty, a misdemeanor, by failing to protect the health of Flint families and by violating his duties under the Michigan Safe Drinking Water Act. When I announced this investigation, I stated this was the beginning of the road back. A road back to rebuilding and restoring trust and confidence of Flint families in their government. Indeed, this is a road back to restoring faith and confidence in all Michigan families in their government. Well, we're on the road back, and I know this will take some time. But in Michigan, as I've made it abundantly clear that our system of justice applies to everybody. It's not rigged. No one is above the law, not on my watch. Our investigation, when it is completed, will be thorough. It'll be complete. It'll be exhaustive. We will enforce the law. This Flint crisis team that has been assembled, we will enforce the law. We will protect the victims, the families and citizens of Flint, and we will hold each and every person who breaks the law will be held accountable. We'll follow the facts without fear or favor, and we'll go wherever the truth takes us, and in this case, wherever the emails take us. These charges are only the beginning, and there'll be more to come. That I can guarantee you. I want to introduce Todd Flood, who's the special counsel on the Flint water crisis team, a former skilled prosecutor, doing a great job. Todd, our special counsel, say a few words, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks.
Okay, pal.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Flood. I am the Special Assistant Attorney General, and I've been charged with the task of prosecuting and investigating this case. And there's no I in team. To my right is Mr. Arena, and behind me, homebound here, Mr. Ellis, and to my far left, Mr. Layton, prosecutor, with several more back home investigating this case today as we speak. And we will turn over every stone. We'll go down every rabbit hole. This is just the first wave. I'm not going to try this case in the press. I have an ethical duty not to do that. I don't want to be grieved before I start. So I won't try this case in the press. I can simply tell you that the public health, that's what the DEQ is charged. That's their purpose. That's what the law states. And the public health, that was violated. So we start today. We start today with the charges, and we will continue to go through every single door, interview people, and I have the best team assembled to do that job. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Let me turn it over next to Andy Arena. Andy's the former head of the FBI here in Detroit. Impeccable reputation, tough, skilled guy. Andy?
Let's go.
You bet.
I'll be very, very brief in my comments today. Andy Arena. I'm the chief investigator for the Flint water team. About 2.5 months ago, we stood before the press. A lot fewer of you at that time, but we stood before you and we told you that we were going to put this team together and we were going to start this investigation. Since that day, we have put together a very skilled team of investigators and prosecutors, top-notch. We've interviewed a number of people. We have gone out and gathered volumes of evidence, and we've analyzed that and reviewed that. And the result is what you see today, the charging of these three gentlemen. Doesn't mean we're done. Attorney General said we're on the road to recovery. I'm just getting on the entry train to I-75. We got a long way to go. We have a lot of people to interview, a lot of evidence to get, a lot of things to go through, and we will do that. That's our job. 2.5 months ago, I told people of Flint, I said, we're going to do our best to get you the answers that you deserve. Today, I renew that promise. We will get you the answers, and we will hold those accountable. We're not targeting any persons or people. Nobody's off limits either. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy. I want to just acknowledge the value I hold Ellis Stafford, who's one of our key investigators here in the Flint water crisis team and a veteran of the Michigan State Police and a Flint guy. And thank you for your leadership, Ellis, very, very much. Now I want to introduce my friend David Layton. David Layton is a smart, effective, skilled, talented prosecutor. He's a friend of mine. Can't think of a prosecutor in the United States of America who does a better job than David Layton. And he's he's part of our team. He adds just exceptional and added depth, expertise, knowledge of this community as part of this team to help the citizens and families of Flint and Michigan. I'm glad to be on David's team. I'm glad he's on our team. David?
Thank you, General, for the kind words. Attorney General Schuette, Special Counsel Flood, and I have spoken frequently over the past number of weeks and shared information with respect to the investigations. In short, our teams are cooperating to try and obtain answers to the many questions that the citizens of Flint have as to the water and how it became tainted with lead and other toxins. These charges today are an attempt to begin to answer some of those questions. It's certainly not the end of the investigation, and I think that is a very important statement that we're all making today. It's the beginning of what is shaping up to be a very extensive investigation and one that will be lengthy. I anticipate additional charges in the not-too-distant future, as well as the Attorney General. I've reviewed the evidence that the Attorney General's team of lawyers and investigators has developed that support the charges that were issued this morning. I believe there is probable cause to believe that in each instance, as to each defendant and as to each count, that the probable cause exists to believe that the listed crimes were committed and committed by the charged individuals. And obviously, since she signed it, the magistrate judge this morning agreed as well. So thank you very much for attending, and Attorney General Schuette, I look forward to our continued cooperation.
Thank you very much, David, Ellis, Andy, and Todd. And now I'm happy to answer any questions from members of the press. Just members of the press only. And just, I'll be here as long as you want, so don't worry. Everyone will get a chance. Ma'am.
How soon do you anticipate new charges on board?
All I can tell you, this is just the beginning. This is just a start. We're going to be aggressive. And as I said in my statement, we will leave no stone unturned. We will go where the truth directs us. No fear, no favor. Nobody's above the law. I've made that very clear in my 5 years, and so I'm not. We don't reveal our strategy, but more to come. More to come.
Can you guarantee there would be new charges?
Yeah, there will be. I'm just saying more to come. The timing will work it out. Yes, sir.
Is there a difference between? Is the investigation going in two different ways? One with lead and one with Legionnaires. This all seems to be lead related, and I don't see anything in what came out today that looks at Legionella or Legionnaires.
This is all. We will have a very in the middle of a very broad and extensive investigation. We'll leave no stone unturned. No issue won't be reviewed, and we'll keep you posted.
Attorney General,
Sir.
What do you believe was the motivation behind some of the lies that you're accusing the street?
You know, I'm not looking at the motive. I'm looking for truth, and I'm going to provide justice. And what we've done today, this is about letting everybody know in Flint and across the state that this is the road back, that nobody's above the law. If there's one system of justice, there's not some escape hatch that doesn't matter who you are, you violate the law, there'll be consequences. And when you provide some justice and let folks know that the system here in Michigan works, I think it also provides a measure of hope. Doesn't solve every problem, but that's what we're doing. Yes, sir.
Has the governor been interviewed, and has he been ruled out as a potential target of this?
No, but there are no targets, and nobody's ruled out. Please.
Has he been interviewed?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of what we've done. There are no targets, but we rule nobody out. Yes, sir.
People knew about these water quality problems, and does it go beyond the EPQ?
You know, there's, as I've said before, so many things went so terribly and tragically wrong in Flint, and it's, I'm not going to single or target out any department. No department is a target, but everything's on the table. I can't be any more clear.
people.
I'm not going to get into the specifics of that. We'll be very thorough. Yes, sir.
Has there been any conversation with these suspects or their attorneys about putting themselves in it?
Todd, you want to comment on that?
Yes, as it relates to a couple of them, I'm not going to get into the particulars. We're working that out, and there will be self-turn-ins.
Yes, sir. Don't worry, I'll get everyone. Yes, sir.
Are you going to indicate at this point that the cover-up or the delay of releasing this information related to the health risks that were brought on by the contaminated water might have exacerbated the health risks and health issues that people face afterwards?
I'm not going to get into, what other causes. Obviously, so many things went hugely wrong. And if your family's here in Flint, you want justice, and we're trying to provide that today.
And just to go back to the question of motive, at least one of the people that has been charged today seemed to have thought there could have been issues with the water back in 2013. So what indication do you guys have that would have caused him to just change his mind in that regard without having been told?
We make decisions here on truth. We make decisions here on intent. We make decisions on actions or omissions that people did or did not do. That's what we do. Yes, sir. Hang on. Just a second. Don't worry. Hang on. We just look for the truth and we look at the emails. Yes, sir.
Following up on that question, Mike Glasgow is saying in the indictment, he had raised early concerns about the quality of the Flint water treatment plant to treat the water. Now he's one of the first to be indicted. Is it possible he's being used as a scapegoat to become a higher official?
We're just going for the truth, period. There are no scapegoats here. If you break the law, there are consequences. That's what this is all about, period. Plain and simple. Yes, sir.
Might be interviewing the governor.
The timing on that's an internal decision, not at this press conference. Yes, Mr. Pluta.
Count 6, and this is the robbery violation. How is that tampering supposed to have occurred? And how is it unique to how water?
Todd, you want to respond to Mr. Pluta's question on that?
Yes. I'm not going to try the case in the media. The tampering, it says it right there in the information. You can see it, and tampering can be one of many ways to do so. Ultimately, the results that went to the DEQ and all the way up to the EPA obviously were wrong. So I'm not going to get into the particulars and the facts that gave me that proof and gave my investigators proof, I believe, beyond a reasonable doubt that it was. But that being said, the information is there for you to read.
This will all come out in the trial too. I'm sorry?
From an investigative standpoint, do you have all the tools that you as far as these emails? Have they all been turned over from the governor's office, from the DEQ, from the Health Services? Are you waiting on?
We are. We're working through that. We have orders in place to do so. We are getting them on a regular basis prior to you. There's right now close to 2.5 emails. The volume of 2.5 million, 2.5 million.
He's a quick reader, but
yeah, it's downriver. But anyway, there's a lot, and we're going through those.
Right. Excuse me, I get you in the back. Yes, sir. You say that again. Start again, right?
Poured over the evidence against these individuals. Did you yourself wonder how they could have done this to other human beings?
The question is, do you wonder how people could have done this to other human beings? Yeah. I mean, it caused me despair. It causes me anger. I think it causes most people anger and despair. So, and I think if, some of you from different parts of the state, different parts of the country, but the things we take for granted, where you may come from, don't happen in Flint. Just the normal things when you get out of bed, whether you jump out of bed or stumble out of bed, no matter how you do it, get out of bed, you wash your face, have a drink of water, brush your teeth, take a shower. That's not normal in Flint because of the problems in Flint. So that causes people despair, it causes people anger, it causes people frustration, it causes me that. And as a husband, father, and attorney general, lawyer for the citizens of Michigan, I'm going to find the truth. That's what I'm going to do. Yes, sir.
Prosecutor Layton, I know that you have charges or investigation going on. Will you continue your investigation as the chief prosecutor of Tennessee County along with the state? Or do you have an investigation going on?
Yeah, I am, well, as I say, I'm working shoulder to shoulder with the Attorney General. I also have a team of about 7 lawyers that are doing a parallel investigation. We've kind of divided up what we're doing. My investigation will absolutely continue, and I anticipate there will be charges coming from our side of the investigation as well. But let me reiterate that I am privy to everything that the Attorney General's investigation has revealed. I've reviewed it all, and there certainly was probable cause evidence to support these charges that were issued this morning, and I think they're appropriate.
Just a second. Let me put it this way. This is a Layton Schuette team. Get it? And we work together in every way. And the blue, yes, sir.
Sir, you mentioned justice. Some of these crimes or these charges include jail time. There's 80 or 70, 80, 90,000 victims. Are you pushing for jail time for all of these charges? Do you think that these people deserve time behind bars?
You know, when we filed charges, we think they'll be proven and established in a court of law, and then as a consequence, there are prison penalties, and if you break the law, you serve time in jail, period. Mr. Kirchner.
Would you like to see these people serve time behind bars?
Oh, yeah, when you make charges, the judge will make that decision in sentencing, and I think they ought to be behind bars. Jim Kirchner. Jim.
Along those lines, are any of these guys cooperating, cutting deals with these guys That's question number one. Number 2,
You're asking 2? Is that what you're cheating here? Isn't that right, Jim?
I'm trying to get these questions in.
I see. Pardon me?
These charges connected to impeding the Jefferson County Health Department's investigation of the legionnaires' Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I'm going to have Todd comment, and maybe Andy as well. So, Todd, you go first, and Andy will follow up.
As it relates,
he's got 2 questions.
Right. I know, Jim. So, as it relates to the second question first, and the Legionella, I charged that in the alternative. You see that in that count, and you see that they obstructed the investigation based on that count. That's all I'm going to get into as it related to the Legionella investigation. So that's all I'm going to get into as it relates to that.
What was question one?
Yeah, Jim, you confused it. What was question 1, Jim?
Something that Andy's very familiar with, working your way up.
Yeah.
I'll let please.
Yeah, so Jim, you and Simon and Dietz, you were with me in Detroit. You've been through this drill, right? So you kind of know where this goes. It's kind of there's a train at the station, and the train's leaving the station. There's some really nice seats on that train, and there's some in the baggage compartment, and you can run and try to catch the train. So usually the first person on the train gets the best seat, right? That's kind of where we're at. If people want to cooperate with us, I'm sure that Mr. Flood and his team would love to talk to them. I'd love to talk to them.
So does that mean there could be appeals in these first 3 cases?
Yeah. It could be. Yeah, it could be throughout the investigation.
Mr. Attorney General.
Listen, we're not ruling anything in or out. That's for sure. Yes, sir.
Was anybody granted immunity for these specific 3 charges?
No. Not today. Sir, you already have one. Who hasn't had a question? Miss.
Hi, this is for Ellis Stafford.
All right, Ellis.
What's it been like for you? You're a Flint guy to uncover this negligence in your hometown.
It hurts. I was born and raised here. I went to school here, went to Northwestern. I still have family that stay here. I drink this water. I bathed in this water. I came back up here. I haven't been up to Flint since last Saturday. Visit my in-laws. It really does hurt. It really hurts when I have friends, personal, close friends. They live here. They look at me and they wonder if there's any truth to this investigation. I hope I gave them some. I told one of my friends, I said, you might not believe in government or the state, but believe in me. You know me. Give me a chance. That's all.
Sir.
Can you share a thought with those who feel that you're maybe too closely aligned with the governor and maybe the state investigation? There are those who out there who feel that you've got a conflict of interest.
Yeah, well, No, there's none, zero. You know, we have a very strong team, that represents the state of Michigan, departments and agencies in the government. And since the days of Frank Kelly, etched in stone, we've had conflict walls that have been managed by an ethics ethics manager, second to none. We have an entirely separate legal team, and the integrity and reputation of Todd and Andy and Ellis and David Layton and I is, you know, it's impeccable, and we're going to go wherever the truth leads us. That's a fact. I've demonstrated, you know, a month ago, filed charges against 2 lawmakers who broke the law, filed charges against a prosecutor in the capital city who got involved in human trafficking. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do, whether you're walking the halls of power, how big a shot you are, doesn't matter. One system of justice. Nothing's rigged in Michigan. Excuse me. Yes, sir.
You mentioned in February the possibility of civil penalties being assessed at this point. Do you feel that
the question is whether civil penalty is criminal. We're not done. This is just the beginning. This is just the start. More to come. Stay tuned is what I would encourage you all to do. Yes, sir, in the back.
You know, if innocent until proven guilty, what happens to the individual? Will they still be able to stay in their current positions?
And I think they ought to be fired.
Prosecutor Layton, is your investigation...
Just a second, Chad. Hang on. Don't worry. I won't forget you, pal. Who hasn't had a question?
I have a question.
Please, yeah.
You talked about people cooperating.
Then we'll go back and make sure everybody's questions are done. Don't worry.
You talked about people cooperating.
Yeah.
Mike Glasgow told us that he was ordered to do some of these things that was now in charge of doing. And I wonder, have you been cooperating with you, and what's your response to this thing?
Todd, you want to talk response to...
Yeah. That defense didn't work in several places when, you know, you're ordered to do something, right? Nuremberg and the like. So you can't be told to do something that's wrong and do it, knowing that it was wrong. It's a tough situation, and I'm sure the facts, as you already talked about with regards to Mr. Glasgow, but when you did a criminal act, an overt act, and you had the corrupt mind to do that act, you're going to be charged.
Can you elaborate on the corrupt mind?
Well, then you would ask me to get into the facts and details of the case. It's a good way of doing that, but I can't, and I won't.
You would say that you didn't have the authority to do it differently. You didn't have that authority. What's your response to that?
The facts that we revealed and came up with as we had the investigators go through the case showed that he did things on his own accord. So I'm not going to get into those facts, and I'm not going to get into what he did specifically, because that would be trying my case in the media.
Will the trial be moved out of Genesee County?
I want it here in Genesee. I'm going to go through other questions here. Yes, sir.
Carolina Water Authority. Investigation, role, that organization.
No issues. Questions about Carragandi. No issues off the table. No targets. This will be broad, full, complete, exhaustive. I'm not going to go into the detail of what we're doing. Yes, please.
I didn't understand something Mr. Flood said earlier, which was regarding legionnaires. So do these particular charges today go toward legionnaires, or is this just the lead?
No, so the Legionella that was the Legionnaires that was being investigated, as you look to the first count, there was a person from the Genesee County Health Department that was investigating and is investigating currently the Legionella outbreak. It's been shown and signed off today that that investigation was, in essence, obstructed and prevented for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into that. So I hope that answers your question.
12 people died, so we understand the significance and seriousness of this. I'm working my way. Yes, please, Rick.
I appreciate the fact that you're not going to try to case. I appreciate the fact there's much you can't say.
Sure.
But what everybody has wanted to know from the beginning was how, if what you're laying out today is true, and you say you're going to court, why? What would possibly be the motivation on any level?
You know, I can't imagine the motivation, and I can't get into it. as I said earlier, it causes anger, frustration, despair, pessimism, and we're trying to get the road back. Now, I'm not saying it happens overnight. It's going to take some time, but these actions today are an attempt to let folks know that there's one system of justice and truth is coming. Chad.
Todd, can you explain exactly what Prysby and Busch did to mislead the EPA officials?
And Andy, if you need to pitch in here too, go ahead.
You can see it through the statements that they made, and those statements obviously being false. The statements they made were...
Saying that the water was being optimized.
And again, you're asking me to get into the facts of the specifics, so I'm not going to do that. But clearly, it's kind of, plain as the nose on your face, right? They did certain acts that misled both Genesee County health officials and misled those employees at the EPA, including but not limited to Mr. Del Toro. So as it relates to motive and those other questions, it's clear on the motive, and I'm not going to get into the proof on the motive right now. That'll come out in court.
Yes, sir.
In terms of general scope, how long did it take for you to come to these charges and to identify these people?
I announced on January 15th I was initiating an independent investigation of this issue in Flint, this health crisis, and today's April 20th. More to come. Yes, sir.
Attorney General, you sort of sidestepped this a couple of times.
I don't sidestep anything, but go ahead.
The governor ultimately responsible, and will he face charges?
There's nobody, there's no target, and no one's off the table. I can't be any more clear on that. Yes, sir.
The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office is also conducting.
Yes, they are. I talked to Barb McQuaid yesterday, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Shared with her what we're doing.
Could we see some federal charges as well?
I can't speak for Barb. She's a talented woman.
Are you working with her?
We work closely. Absolutely. Yes.
Mr. Arena, for question. We've done some very large investigations. As you got into the Flint water crisis, did this become bigger than what you had originally thought? I mean, what's the scope of this?
Well, I've worked on some, the Youngstown corruption case is probably the largest corruption case in the history of the FBI. The Kwame Kilpatrick, the underwear bomber. I've been involved in a lot of cases. I think I said this at our first press conference. Really, why did I come out of retirement? My wife has asked me that question. Why are you getting back into this? We have a really good, your wife is the same way. We have this great life because the people of Flint deserve answers. And I really think, as a professional, this is the biggest case in the history of the state of Michigan. And I think history will bear me out on that when we're done with this thing. This is widespread, and this is something as an investigator. This is why you suit up. This is why you're in the game, to take on something like this.
All right. Yes, sir.
Do you know how many individuals you're potentially looking at for possible?
I'm not going to get into specifics. It's thorough, complete, exhaustive, independent. Boom. Yes. Pardon? I'm not going to get into that, but it's broad. We're not holding anything back whatsoever. All right, listen. Thank you very much. More.